Hi everyone, it's me. Welcome to today's video. Today, I am going to be giving you book recs based on your top 3 favorite books. On Instagram the other day, I did ask you guys to submit your top 3 favorite books to me, kind of mysteriously with no context. So if you were wondering what I was planning on doing with that information on Instagram, that's what we're going to be doing today. I am going to be going through your top 3 reads and giving you a book rec based on your top 3. And we are just going to get straight into it. So first up, we have Promise Me Sunshine by Cara Bastone, Book Lovers by Emily Henry, and Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. Now, I have not read Binding 13, so this rec is going to be based more on Promise Me Sunshine and Book Lovers, but also based on what I know about Binding 13. So I feel like you like romance that is not actually romance. That is the vibe I'm getting here. You like romantic stories, but basically your preference is a contemporary fiction that disguises itself as a romance. So I have just the book for you. That is going to be Passion Project by London Sperry. I think this one would be perfect for you because you do love a romantic storyline. You do love themes of romance in your books, but you don't want the main focus to be the romance, and you also like to have pain in your books. So this one follows Bennett, who lives in New York City, and she just thinks like she's in those prime years where she should be enjoying her life, thriving, literally living her best life. But she has just lost her passion for everything for various reasons. Her friend tries to encourage her to go on a date and she ends up standing this person up, but ends up actually running into him later. And so they start talking. She's just like, yeah, you know what? I'm not ready to date. I'm still sort of grieving. I'm going through this depression. And he decides, hey, you know what? We don't have to date. We can just be friends. I want to help you find your passion back. So that is the story of Passion Project. And I just think from your books that you love, from loving Cara Bastone and Emily Henry, I think you would love this because the writing really reminds me of Cara Bastone writing, and it definitely feels like a story that both Emily Henry and Cara Bastone would write. That's your assignment. Next up, we have Addie LaRue, The Poppy War, or Alchemized. Okay, you like to feel pain. You like hurting, but you also like something historical. I'm seeing from Addie LaRue and The Poppy War, you like something historical. You like characters who bond through pain. You kind of like trauma bonds. So I am going to give you As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow by Zoulfa Katouh. This is a historical fiction. It is so painful, but in the most beautiful way. There are no magical elements in this one, and your top 3 are fantasy, or at least have like magical realism elements in them. But I feel like the way this one is written kind of gives magical because the descriptions of everything feels a little bit magical. So even though there's not actual magic in this book, the writing makes the story feel like it's a little bit magical, if that makes sense. But this one follows Salama, who was a pharmacy student when the war broke out in Syria. So she's now volunteering at a hospital to help the wounded from the war. And at this point, she's lost most of her family, but she sort of has this one person left, Layla, who was her brother's wife. And Layla is about to give birth. She is pregnant. So Salama's main goals are to help Layla get out of the country, to be able to have her baby safely, and also to continue just helping people at this hospital. So it's definitely a very, very sad story. There is a lot of pain in here, but it's also so beautifully written. And I feel like just based on all of those historical, emotional stories that you love, you'd probably like this one too. So this one is your homework. All right, next up, your favorites are Demon Copperhead, Jade Legacy, and Dark Age. Dark Age is one of the later books in the Red Rising series, right? I think it is. I haven't gotten to that point yet, but I'm pretty sure it's in the Red Rising series. So from what I'm getting here, you like books where you have to turn your brain on. You like thinking about things. You like maybe worlds that are a little bit more complex. You like political systems, like fantasy, sci-fi, politics, but you also love coming of age stories where a young child needs to grow up quickly, and you like seeing that progression. That's what I'm getting from like Demon Copperhead and Jade Legacy. I guess a little bit of Red Rising, but Darrow starts off already kind of old, not old, but like grown, you know? But I feel like in Jade Legacy, we do have these sort of like kids that grow up, and also in Demon Copperhead, that's very much like a coming of age story. I'm gonna give you Dawn of the Firebird by Sarah Mughal Rana. This book doesn't actually come out until December 2nd, so you're gonna have to just pre-order. But I feel like this one will tick all your boxes. We definitely have a very complex magical fantasy world here. The magic system is very interesting and intricate, and also the politics and the war strategy in this book personally were even too intricate for me. Like, it was kind of hard for me to understand certain parts of the war politics, but in a wonderful way where I was like, is someone smarter than me would absolutely love this book. And the fact that your favorite books are all, you know, like a little bit more politically intricate, I feel like you would really get along with this one. We also have that coming of age element because our main character, Camilla, we start her story from literally her birth, and we do, like, after the birth part, we jump ahead a few years to when she is, I think, 6 years old, I want to say, like still quite young, but she has been raised by her mother's nomadic tribe her entire life, but her birth father is actually the emperor. When a violent raid disrupts her peaceful life in this village, Camilla's heavenly magic awakens within her, and once she has her magic, her father, the emperor, finally starts accepting her into his court and sort of brings her in. However, tragedy strikes again, and Camilla finds herself displaced yet again to infiltrate the enemy's military academy. So that's what Camilla goes off and does. So I think we just have a lot of elements of all your 3 favorite books in this one. We sort of have that feeling of displacement, not really having a family that you can stay with that is present in Demon Copperhead. We have the whole infiltrating an academy thing like that we see in Red Rising, and we sort of explore these themes of family loyalty that we see in Jade Legacy, while also having an intricate political system similar to Jade Legacy. So I think this one would be a wonderful read for you, but yeah, it's not out yet. Pre-order it. It comes out December 2nd. You're gonna love this one. All right, let's see what we have next. Okay. A Court of Silver Flames, Kingdom of Ash, or Deathly Hallows. So you just like long series. You just like really, really long series, because literally all 3 of these books are like the last books in series. Silver Flames, we don't have the next book yet. It's technically not going to be the last in ACOTAR, but as of right now, it is like at the end of the series. Kingdom of Ash obviously concludes an 8-book series, and Deathly Hallows, of course, concludes a 7-book series. So because you like long series, and also because you just like really long books too, I'm gonna give you The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson. You like long series, you like long books, you did this to yourself. So this is your assignment. This is a wonderful read. There is a really nice, complex, magical world in here, which I think you love, also based on your top 3. And we're set in a war-torn land where we follow multiple POVs of very different characters as they navigate through this war, try and stick to their like moral compass, try and figure out what's right, what's wrong, how morally gray is too morally gray, what you can do for the greater good, and all of that good stuff. The magic system in this world is very intricate and interesting and wonderful. The politics are amazing, and it's just one of those worlds that you get so fully, deeply immersed in that everything falls away. So I don't know, I think you would love this. All right, moving on. We have Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare, I'm pretty sure. Anxious People, Assistant to the Villain, and Project Hail Mary. So you gave me your top 4 instead of your top 3. You did not follow the instructions. Okay, I actually have not read Clockwork Princess yet, so I'm actually going to eliminate that one, and your top 3, I'm editing your top 3 to only be Anxious People, Assistant to the Villain, and Project Hail Mary, because those are the ones I can speak of. Actually, I haven't actually read Assistant to the Villain yet, but I feel like I've heard enough of that one to kind of get the vibe from it, I think, hopefully. From what I'm seeing from this top 3, I feel like you like unlikely friendships or like unlikely bonds between characters, and I think you also like a sense of humor along with your stories. Like Anxious People has this bizarre humor like most of Frederick Backman's books. Assistant to the Villain, from what I've heard, is a comedic take on a fantasy, and Project Hail Mary also, like it's a serious story, but there's this underlying sense of humor behind it all. I'm not sure if Clockwork Princess has this sort of humor, but yeah, I'm just not counting that because I don't know too much about it. But I'm going to give you another Brandon Sanderson, actually. I'm gonna give you Yumi and the Nightmare Painter. I think I was really surprised at how comedic this one is. It's not like funny, it's not like, you know, a joke at every corner, but the way that the dialogue and the banter in this book was written was a lot like just more witty than I expected. And we also have an unlikely bond between two characters. So we follow Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, of course. They live in complete opposite worlds, and they are also complete opposite personalities. Yumi is very much like a rule follower. She summons spirits, and she is this like kind of a religious figure in her world. So she's very like treated like a porcelain doll kind of, and she's really rule following. And then we have the Nightmare Painter, who actually works as this sort of a guard who hunts for nightmares, like these shadow things, and then paints them to get rid of them. Like that's how you banish them. But the Nightmare Painter is definitely not a rule follower. He definitely, you know, goes off page. And we follow their story as they meet each other in a very unlikely circumstance. And they both like learn things from each other, and they sort of both just relax in their ways and see the value in things opposite to what they normally see values in. And yeah, they learn from each other, they bond, but there's also this like wonderful banter between them that is funny at points. So I think you would love this one. Okay, next up we have Morning Star. So another installment in the Red Rising series. We have Alchemized again, and we have A Court of Mist and Fury. I feel like you also like long books, and you also like long series as well. I mean, Alchemized is not a series, but it's an 1,000-page book, so it might as well be a series. It's like reading a series in one book. And you also like a weird power imbalance in relationships where like one person seemingly has a lot more power over the other person just based on where the world has put them. So I think I have one for you. I'm gonna give you The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. This is the first book in, I think there are going to be 7 books total in the series. 5 are out so far. I've only read the first 3 so far, but I feel like just based on your favorites, you would also like this one. I remember the romance plotline in this one, or the love story plotline, reminded me of the power dynamic in Alchemized. And I don't know how this relates to Morning Star really, because I haven't read that one yet. I'm only on Golden Sun. But to connect this one to that, this is a fantasy series, but it kind of borders on sci-fi as well, because we have a lot of technology in this one. We're actually based in a future London. I feel like if you love a fantasy story that is set in a sort of sci-fi environment similar to Red Rising, you may like this one as well. So in this first book, we follow Paige. She belongs in a crime syndicate. She's actually quite high up in this crime syndicate, and she is a, what are they called again? Oh my gosh. She is a clairvoyant. So we have people who have these like psychic type of powers, and Paige is one of them. The clairvoyants, however, are being hunted by the government because the government feels threatened. So a lot of these clairvoyants have grouped into this crime syndicate that functions kind of underground. They keep each other hidden and safe. But at the beginning of this book, Paige messes up and she gets arrested. And as she gets thrown into her prison, a whole other world opens up. I actually think this is a really good choice for you. It does really like perfectly blend that sci-fi fantasy world of Red Rising with the power dynamic of a relationship in Alchemized, and also Mist and Fury. So you're gonna read The Bone Season. All right, let's find our next one. 6 of Crows by Leigh Bardugo, Vicious by V. Schwab, and Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. You just have impeccable taste, okay? You just have perfect taste, if I'm gonna be honest with you. So purely because of that, I'm gonna give you A Song to Drown Rivers by Liang. Purely because this is just one of my favorite books of all time. It obviously became my personality last year. Your books that you love are incredible. I just want you to read this one too. Okay? Are there any actual similar elements in A Song to Drown Rivers to 6 of Crows? Maybe like an infiltration vibe, like in 6 of Crows we're pulling off a heist. We're not like heisting in this one, but we're kind of like going undercover, infiltrating a kingdom sort of thing in this. So maybe there's a parallel there. In terms of Vicious, maybe just the morally gray aspect of it all. And Divine Rivals, maybe Divine Rivals. That vibe fits as well, because in Divine Rivals, I feel like we have this amazing sense of yearning and this relationship that is they're far away from each other. It feels kind of impossible for the two of them to be together, and there's just this really romantic tension throughout the entire book. I'm just gonna give you this one. Do you need the plot synopsis? Because I've already talked about this book so much in the past year, but just in case you don't know, very quickly, this is inspired by a very real legend in ancient China. So we follow Zixi. She is known as one of the 4 beauties of ancient China. And we have Fan Li, who is a military general. Fan Li notices Zixi and actually recruits her to help infiltrate the enemy's kingdom, seduce the king, and take them out from within. It is so beautifully written. The yearning in this is amazing. We have like forbidden romance, and we have one of the most like tragically beautiful endings ever. So, A Song to Drown Rivers, I'm giving you this purely based off vibes. All right, next up we have Six of Crows, A Man Called Ove, and Yellowface. So one of these is not like the other, and that is Six of Crows. But in terms of your book taste here, I feel like you don't mind a character POV that you dislike, or like a character POV that you can't relate to, if that makes sense. Because Yellowface and A Man Called Ove, I feel like the protagonists that you're in the mind of, they can have quite unlikable traits. I mean, especially with Yellowface, but with The Man Called Ove, he's kind of like that character that is a little bit irritating and you don't really understand him, but also endearing at the same time. Yellowface, our main character, is actually very terrible, but yeah, you don't mind an unlikable POV, and you also like to feel emotions. So I am going to give you The Wedding People by Alison Espach. I feel like from your type of fiction that you would like a story like this, something with a slightly unlikable character but goes through these complex emotions. So we're in the mind of our protagonist who has just hit rock bottom, like her husband or her boyfriend, I can't remember if they're married or not, but her partner has left her. She was supposed to be going on this trip to this beautiful island with him, but they've split up, so she decides to go by herself to kind of have like one last moment of indulgence and enjoyment before ending her life. So she's literally traveled to this island to do so, but when she arrives, she realizes there's an entire wedding happening on this island, and basically everyone at her hotel is there for the wedding. So she is thrown into this situation where like everyone's happy and knows each other. And so our protagonist is like, well, crap, what am I gonna do now? She actually runs into the bride and they end up sort of bonding and talking a little bit, and the story goes on from there. I don't want to say any more than that, but this is definitely a book that explores these kind of like darker, more intricate emotions while following a character and also side characters who are not perfect and like all have slightly unlikable traits, I would say. Very imperfect characters, and I feel like that is what you like, so I am going to recommend The Wedding People. Okay, next, you like The Poppy War, of course. Like, we all love The Poppy War over here. You also like Fourth Wing and Keeper of the Lost Cities. I actually have not read Keeper of the Lost Cities, but based on the first 2, I'm gonna give you Direbound by Sable Sorensen. I feel like with the Fourth Wing mention, the setup of this world is very similar to Fourth Wing. We are set at a military academy where you go through these trials to bond with a magical creature, but instead of dragons in Fourth Wing, we have dire wolves in this one. And the way the bonding works, like you have a mind connection with these animals, you ride them. There's a lot of similarities to Fourth Wing, but where this book differs from Fourth Wing, I think, is there are definitely darker elements in this, and I also think that the emotions that we go through are also a little bit just more complex and heavy, and our characters just go through more mentally in this compared to Fourth Wing. So that's what I'm kind of getting with like the Poppy War mixed with Fourth Wing, kind of. We follow Marin, who has always hated the bonded. The bonded are the ones that bond with direwolves, and she's living in poverty with her sister and her mother, who is ill. But one day her sister is kidnapped, and Marin suspects that like these vampires did it. They're not called vampires in this book. They're called like the drainers, or like they suck your life force out of you, but they're basically vampires, and the vampires are at war with like the humans and the wolves. So Marin suspects that the vampires probably took her sister, because what they've been doing lately is taking children to like suck their energy out of them. So Marin just thinks the only way, the best chance that she will ever have of going to the front lines, going to see the vampires and finding her sister, is to join the military. So she does, but then when she joins, she realizes she has to go through these bonding trials to bond with a dire wolf, and all this stuff happens. So we're dealing with a protagonist that has lost a lot. She's going through some heavy things, but then we also have that sort of like fun bonding magical creature thing that we have in Fourth Wing, and we also have this sort of like enemies to lovers relationship romance dynamic that is actually, I would say, more of a slow burn than Fourth Wing is, because Fourth Wing's not a slow burn at all. I think you would like Direbound. Your favorite is Babel, Divine Rivals, and The Night Circus. So I'm getting you like atmospheric books, you like historical books, and you also like a romance that feels impossible. Like the love interests are very far away from each other, but you also don't mind a romance where you don't see the buildup of it. Like you don't care if there's no natural progression of like a romance book where we have like a meet cute and then they get to know each other and then they're together and then there's a third act breakup and whatever. Like you don't like that typical romance plot structure, and you also don't mind something that is like kind of insta-lovey, like they're just fated by the stars and that's why they're together. So if we're going along with this sort of like fated soulmates thing, I'm gonna give you Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. I mean, the word fates is in the title itself, but based on your vibe, you don't care, you don't need to see like the why the characters are together, you just like to see how they fit together and how they navigate through things together. So in this one, we follow two souls that keep reincarnating over and over and over again, but in every single lifetime, they find each other, they fall in love with each other, and they kill each other. And our protagonist really wants to end this cycle because she currently really likes the life she's in. She has a sister that she wants to save, and she's just like, I cannot die before I turn 18 in this life because I need to live past 18 to take care of my sister and my family and everything. So she sets out to try and figure out what's going on, why she is fated to continue to reincarnate and like go through all of these cycles with this one other soul. That is the story. Based on your vibe, I feel like you like that really descriptive writing and you like the whole fated mates sort of thing, but not in like an ACOTAR fairy fated mate situation, more like a real soulmates thing, but like a painful soulmates thing. So yeah, I'm gonna give you Our Infinite Fates. I think we're gonna end this one here, but you guys sent me so many prompts. So if you loved this video and would love to do it again, definitely let me know in the comments. And while you're at it, let me know what your top 3 books are so we can start gathering information for part 2. But that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave me a like and a comment. If you don't know what to comment down below, as I said, just leave me your top 3 books and maybe we can do this again. If you like me, subscribe, do that bell thing, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!